The deed that changed the conversation. Moneybagg Yo already had the cars, the jewelry, the watches, and the kind of money that makes most birthday gifts feel ordinary. So Ari Fletcher did something nobody expected. She handed him a deed, not another luxury vehicle, not another diamond chain. Nearly 29 acres of land in Memphis. According to the source story, Ari purchased 8 acres for Moneybagg's 30th birthday and presented it as something bigger than a flashy gift. Her message was about ownership, future income, and generational wealth. While the internet was used to watching celebrity couples compete with cars and designer bags, Ari had just placed real estate at the center of the conversation. And that immediately raised a bigger question. How does a woman who many people still describe only as a rapper's partner have enough financial power to make a move like that? That question becomes even more interesting when you remember what Moneybagg had already given her. Months earlier, he surprised Ari with a customized Rolls-Royce Cullinan and several Birkin bags. Their relationship became known for extravagant birthday moments, expensive vacations, and public displays that kept social media talking. But focusing only on the luxury misses the real story. Years before Moneybagg Yo entered the picture, Ari was already building an audience online. She learned how attention could become influence, how influence could become customers, and how customers could eventually become ownership. What looked like another Instagram personality was quietly becoming a businesswoman. That is the part critics often overlook. The Rolls-Royce is easy to photograph, the Birkin bags are easy to post, but businesses, contracts, customer loyalty, brand partnerships, and long-term strategy are much harder to see in a 30-second clip. And once you trace Ari's timeline back to Chicago, the idea that her entire lifestyle came from Moneybagg begins to look a lot more complicated. So where are you watching from? Comment 1 if you think buying land was a smarter gift than buying another luxury car. Or 2, if you think that kind of money should never be spent on someone before marriage. Subscribe to the channel, because next we are going back to the years before Moneybagg, when Ari Fletcher first realized that followers could become something much more valuable than fame. Before the rapper, there was the platform. Long before Moneybagg Yo entered the picture, Ari Fletcher was already learning how powerful attention could become. Growing up in Chicago, she understood early that visibility could open doors, but only if she knew what to do with it once people started watching. Around 2015, Ari began building an audience through beauty, fashion, lifestyle content, and the kind of bold personality that made people stop scrolling. At first glance, it looked like the same influencer path thousands of young women were chasing, but Ari treated the platform differently. She did not see followers only as applause. She saw them as infrastructure. Every post gave her information. What did people respond to? What styles did they want? What products were they asking about? Which recommendations actually made people spend money? Instead of treating social media like a popularity contest, she began studying the behavior of the audience. She was building. That mindset became her first real advantage. When brands started approaching her for partnerships, Ari was not only collecting checks, she was watching how companies marketed products, how campaigns were structured, how consumer attention was converted into sales, and how a recognizable personality could become commercially valuable. The lesson was simple. Promoting someone else's business could pay well, but owning the business could change everything. That realization pushed Ari toward her first serious entrepreneurial move. She wanted something that belonged to her, something that could continue earning even when a sponsored campaign ended. And the beauty industry gave her the perfect opening. By 2016, Ari and her cousin Brittany launched KYC Extensions, turning the audience she had built online into paying customers. It was the first real proof that her influence could become ownership. The internet saw a personality. Ari was beginning to see a company. The first business proved the model. KYC Extensions mattered because it showed Ari something social media popularity alone could never guarantee. People were willing to buy from her. The hair business allowed her to move from recommending products to controlling a product category of her own. Instead of receiving a one-time payment for promoting someone else's company, she could participate directly in the revenue generated by her audience. That difference changed the direction of her career. Ari already understood the beauty market because she lived inside it. Hair, makeup, fashion, and appearance were part of the content her followers expected from her. She knew the questions people asked, the styles they wanted, and the type of presentation that could turn curiosity into purchases. KYC extensions became proof of concept. If followers trusted Ari enough to buy hair, then the relationship between creator and customer could be expanded far beyond one product. At the same time, she continued accepting endorsement opportunities from major companies. Those partnerships exposed her to larger marketing operations and gave her more information about how established brands reach consumers. Every campaign became a lesson. Every check became potential capital. Every new follower became another possible customer for something she might eventually own. That strategy is what separates a temporary influencer from a long-term entrepreneur. Social media platforms can change. Algorithms can destroy reach overnight. Brand deals can disappear. But an audience that trusts you can be redirected into businesses, products, and assets that exist outside the platform. Years later, Ari would launch beauty, swimwear, food-related content, and other ventures. But the blueprint began here. Build attention, earn trust, convert trust into sales, then reinvest the money into ownership. By the time Moneybagg Yo entered Ari's public life, that system was already functioning. Their relationship would dramatically increase the attention around her name. But it did not create the entrepreneurial instincts she had already been developing. And when their romance became public, every luxury moment would make it harder for outsiders to separate what Ari built from what Moneybagg gave her. Love, luxury, and the internet's assumptions. Ari Fletcher and Moneybagg Yo went public with their relationship in 2020. And almost immediately, social media turned them into one of hip-hop's most watched couples. They traveled together, celebrated birthdays publicly, exchanged expensive gifts, and appeared completely comfortable, allowing the internet to watch their relationship unfold. That visibility created excitement, but it also created assumptions. The more Moneybagg's rap career grew, the easier it became for critics to look at Ari's lifestyle and decide that his money must be funding everything. The designer clothes? Moneybagg. The luxury travel? Moneybagg. The cars? Moneybagg. The lifestyle? Moneybagg. But that explanation ignored the timeline Ari had already created before the relationship went public. She had built an audience years earlier. She had already entered business. She was already earning from brand partnerships and using social media as a commercial tool. Still, appearances are powerful. When Moneybagg surprised Ari with a custom Rolls-Royce Cullinan and several Birkin bags, the images exploded online. The gift looked like the ultimate symbol of a rapper, financing an extravagant lifestyle for his partner. Then Ari flipped the entire narrative. For Moneybagg's 30th birthday, she did not try to match the Rolls-Royce with another car. She did something that forced people to ask where her own financial power came from. She bought him nearly 29 acres of land in Memphis. According to the source story, Ari presented a fully paid deed and described the property as something capable of producing generational wealth. Suddenly, she was not only receiving luxury, she was buying assets. That distinction became impossible to ignore, and while fans celebrated the move, critics immediately asked another question. Why would a woman spend that kind of money on a man she had not yet married? The birthday gift had become financial philosophy, relationship drama, and internet debate all at once. The 8 acres that divided the internet. The land gift became one of the most talked about moments in Ari and Moneybagg Yo's relationship because it challenged the usual idea of celebrity gifting. Cars lose value. Jewelry can be expensive, but does not automatically produce income. Land can appreciate, generate revenue, to be developed, subdivided, leased, or held for future value. That was the message Ari attached to the 8 acres she purchased in Memphis. She framed the gift not simply as something expensive, but as something that could keep producing long after the birthday was over. In her words, the property represented a lifetime of income and generational wealth. The symbolism was powerful. Moneybagg had come from Memphis. Ari was giving him ownership in the same city connected to his identity and success. But not everyone thought the move was smart. Some critics argued that purchasing such an expensive asset for a boyfriend was too much. A daytime television discussion even questioned whether Ari was overextending herself for a relationship without marriage. Ari responded in the same way she usually handled criticism: directly. Her position was essentially that people questioning her purchase should focus on acquiring property of their own. Moneybagg also defended the situation and made it clear that outside opinions were not changing how they operated. The controversy revealed something important about Ari. She did not think about money only as consumption. Yes, she enjoyed luxury. Yes, the designer bags and exotic cars were real. But the land purchase showed another side of her mindset, the idea that money could be used to create assets, rather than only appearances. That financial philosophy would later become central to how Ari explained her own businesses and independence, because if she could spend that kind of money buying land for someone else, critics had to confront an uncomfortable possibility. Maybe the woman they assumed was being financed had far more financial power than they realized. And Ari's expanding business portfolio was about to make that argument even stronger. Remedy turned influence into ownership. By 2022, Ari was ready to move beyond the business model that had first proven her influence could convert into sales. She launched Remedy by Ari, a beauty brand positioned around products she believed matched the interests of the audience she had spent years building. This move represented something bigger than another influencer, putting her name on merchandise. According to the source story, Ari's long-term ambition was to grow Remedy into a major beauty company, capable of competing in large retail spaces. That required a completely different level of thinking. A sponsored post might take a day. A real consumer brand requires product development, inventory, customer service, packaging, marketing, fulfillment, cash flow management, and the ability to keep customers coming back after the excitement of launch week disappears. Ari had spent years observing those systems from the outside, through endorsement partnerships. Now she was trying to operate them herself. Remedy also expanded into swimwear, giving Ari another category connected directly to the lifestyle and visual identity her followers already associated with her. That was the same strategic pattern she had used before. She did not choose random businesses and hope people cared. She studied what her audience already responded to, then built commercial products around that demand. Beauty, hair, fashion, swimwear. Each category connected naturally to the image she had been cultivating online for years. The important part was that Ari was gradually shifting from renting her influence to owning the destination, where that influence sent people. Every time she promoted someone else's company, she was helping create value for another owner. Every time she promoted Remedy, she was helping create value inside, something connected directly to her own name. That transition is where influencer money can become long-term wealth, and Ari did not stop there. She began experimenting with another side of her personality, one that had nothing to do with Birkins, luxury cars, or glamorous photo shoots. She went into the kitchen, turning personality into multiple income streams. Dinner with the Don revealed a different version of Ari Fletcher. Instead of focusing only on fashion, beauty, or luxury, the cooking content allowed followers to see something more relaxed and personal. It helped humanize a woman who was increasingly being viewed through expensive gifts and high-profile relationships. But Ari also understood the business potential. Content could become commerce. A cooking series could lead to food products, seasonings, partnerships, branded experiences, or other revenue opportunities connected to the audience. The concept followed the same formula Ari had been developing for years. Start with attention. Create a community around something people enjoy. Then look for a way to own part of the commercial activity that follows. At the same time, her endorsement business remained valuable. The source describes partnerships with major companies across fashion, entertainment, food delivery, and lifestyle categories. Those deals demonstrated that Ari's audience did more than watch her. It responded when she promoted products. That ability is what gives an influencer real commercial power. Follower count alone does not matter if nobody buys anything. Engagement becomes valuable when attention turns into action. Ari used that brand income as more than spending money. The bigger strategy was using cash generated from partnerships to support businesses she controlled. That is an important distinction. Endorsements can disappear. Ownership can grow. The goal was not necessarily to stop working with major companies. The goal was to use their money, reach, and marketing lessons as leverage, while expanding her own infrastructure. By this point, Ari's financial picture was becoming difficult to explain through her relationship alone. She had beauty ventures, past hair businesses, swimwear, cooking content, brand partnerships, and millions of followers capable of generating commercial opportunities. But the more successful she became, the louder another criticism grew. People still looked at the Rolls-Royce, Birkins, and relationship with Moneybagg, and insisted the luxury was borrowed. Ari's answer was simple. The businesses were hers. The income was hers. And she intended to keep it that way. Why separate money mattered to Ari? Ari Fletcher's public image may be built around luxury, but one of the most important ideas in her financial story is control. The source describes Ari as someone who has repeatedly emphasized maintaining independent finances, businesses, and income separate from her relationship. That philosophy matters because fame can create the illusion of permanent security. A successful rapper may be wealthy today. A relationship may look strong today. A brand partnership may be lucrative today. But Ari's approach appears to be built around a different question. What still belongs to you if everything around you changes? That mindset also connects directly to motherhood. Ari has spoken publicly about providing for her son, Yosoh, whose father is rapper G Herbo. Rather than treating motherhood as a reason to depend on someone else financially, she has framed it as motivation to build something her child can eventually inherit. That helps explain why the idea of generational wealth appears repeatedly in her public conversations about money. It is not only about living well now, it is about creating assets, businesses, and opportunities that survive beyond the current lifestyle. This also makes the land gift to Moneybagg more revealing. Ari could have spent the same money on something designed only to impress people for a weekend. Instead, she chose property. That does not mean every financial decision she makes is perfect, or that every expensive purchase is an investment. It means the public image of Ari as someone interested only in luxury is incomplete. There is a second story underneath it, one about ownership, one about financial autonomy, one about ensuring that love does not require dependency. And that philosophy became increasingly important as Ari's relationship attracted more attention and criticism. The internet kept asking whether she needed Moneybagg. Her career kept producing evidence that the more interesting question was whether Ari had built her life specifically so she would never have to depend completely on anyone. The woman behind the luxury image. By the time Ari Fletcher became known nationally, the public already had a version of her in mind. She was the beautiful influencer, the woman dating Moneybagg Yo, the woman connected to G Herbo, the woman with expensive bags, luxury cars, dramatic birthdays, and a personality strong enough to keep blogs talking. But that version only captured the most visible part of the story. The deeper timeline begins before Moneybagg. Ari built an audience around 2015. She helped launch a hair business in 2016. She learned how brand partnerships worked, watched how major companies marketed to consumers, and turned those lessons into ventures of her own. Then came Remedy, then swimwear, then cooking content, then more partnerships. Each new layer expanded the number of ways Ari could convert attention into income. That is why her story became more interesting than the expensive gifts. The Rolls-Royce could disappear tomorrow. The Birkins could be sold. A viral birthday clip could be forgotten in a week. But an audience, a recognizable brand, consumer trust, business experience, and ownership can continue creating opportunities long after the internet moves on. Ari also learned how to use criticism as fuel. People called her a clout chaser. She launched another product. People reduced her to relationships. She expanded another business. People questioned her money. She showed that she could make purchases large enough to become headlines herself. That does not mean every claim surrounding her wealth should be accepted without evidence. But the source story clearly presents a pattern. Ari was building commercial infrastructure before many critics started paying attention. And now the woman once dismissed as simply another rapper's girlfriend was being discussed as an entrepreneur whose own financial moves could dominate the conversation. The final question is no longer whether Ari Fletcher lives a luxury lifestyle. She obviously does. The real question is what that lifestyle represents. Is it just expensive consumption, or is it the visible reward of a much larger system built around ownership? Independence. And the belief that attention means nothing unless you eventually turn it into something you control? Ownership was the real flex. Ari Fletcher's story was never really about a Rolls-Royce, Birkin bags, or one unforgettable birthday gift. Those things made the headlines. But they were only the most visible pieces of a much bigger system. The real story was ownership. Ari learned how to turn attention into customers, customers into businesses, and business income into greater control over her own future. She used social media as a platform, not a destination. She worked with major brands, studied what made those campaigns effective, then applied those lessons to ventures connected to her own name. That is the strategic lesson behind everything. Visibility can make you famous. Ownership can make you independent. A sponsored post can pay once. A company can potentially keep creating value. A luxury car can lose value. An asset can create opportunities long after the excitement disappears. That is why the 28 acres became such an important symbol in this story. Whether people agreed with the gift or not, it revealed the way Ari wanted money to function, not only as something to spend, but as something capable of building a future. There is another lesson here about relationships. Financial independence does not mean refusing love, generosity, or partnership. It means making sure your identity and security do not disappear if the relationship changes. Loving someone fully should not require giving up the ability to stand on your own. And for Ari, motherhood appears to make that lesson even more important. Building wealth is not only about creating a luxury lifestyle today, it is also about creating options, stability, and something meaningful for the next generation. The healthiest message is not that everyone needs designer bags, millions of followers, or expensive property. It is that people should build skills, protect their independence, invest thoughtfully, and avoid measuring success only by appearances. So what do you think? Comment 1 if you believe Ari deserves more respect for the businesses and financial independence she built. Or 2, if you think the luxury image still overshadows the business story. Like this video, share it with someone who follows hip-hop culture, and subscribe for more stories about the money, relationships, and real lives behind rap's biggest names.